The night was quiet, colder than anyone remembered. The wind moved slowly through the broken trees and abandoned buildings. Silence covered the world. No humans were walking the streets. No lights shone in the windows. Only the sounds of nature whispered in the dark. Then, something strange appeared in the sky. A bright light. Slowly, it moved down, cutting through the darkness like a knife. The light was huge, bigger than any star, yet it did not belong to the sky. It moved carefully, silently, without sound. Shadows stretched over the empty land as the light came closer. Birds flew into the night, screaming, but even they seemed afraid. Animals froze, staring at the sky. There was no thunder, no fire, nothing but the cold, strange light that moved slowly toward the ground. On the horizon, the outline of a giant ship appeared. It was not like any ship anyone had seen. Smooth, silver, shining, but with shapes that seemed almost alive. Its surface glowed softly. It hovered above the ruined city without a sound, as if it had come from another world. Then, as if obeying a quiet command, it began to descend. Dust and small debris rose from the ground, but the ship landed softly, with almost no noise at all. Inside the ship, figures moved in silence. They wore clothes that shimmered in the dim light, but their faces were calm and serious. They looked out of small windows, scanning the empty streets below. They had been away for a very long time. 20,000 years, in fact. In that time, they had hidden from everyone, watching, learning, waiting for the right moment. And now they had returned. No one on Earth knew they were coming. No one was ready. The ship's doors began to open slowly, revealing shadows inside. The figures stepped out, careful and deliberate. Each movement was smooth and precise, but there was a sense of power in them that made the air feel heavy. The world was silent, and yet, something inside seemed to whisper a warning. Something had changed. Something was awake again. The first figure stepped onto the broken street. The ground trembled slightly under their feet, though they did not move with force. Their eyes were bright, reflecting the soft light of the ship. They looked around at the ruins of the old world. Cities that once thrived were now silent. Roads were cracked. Buildings were empty. Yet, in this silence they saw potential. They saw life waiting to be awakened. The second figure joined, moving with equal calm. They carried small devices that glowed faintly. These devices scanned the surroundings quietly. Trees, broken cars, empty houses. They all lit up softly in tiny holograms that only the humans on the ship could see. Everything was recorded, measured, analyzed. They were learning again, but this time not in hiding. This time, they had returned to make a decision. A small creature, a fox, stepped out from behind a crumbled wall. It froze as it stared at the humans. Its small heart beat fast. The humans did not scare it. They moved carefully, as if they knew all living things were watching. The fox turned, ran back into the forest, and then silence returned. The humans did not chase. They did not react. They waited. Patience was part of who they were now. From above, the stars shone brightly, but none compared to the glow of the ship. A soft hum filled the air. It was not loud, but it could be felt, like a heartbeat. The humans listened. Their history, hidden for thousands of years, whispered to them. They remembered what the world once was. They remembered what had forced them to leave. And they remembered why they could not return too soon. One of the figures paused. They looked down at a ruined school, its doors hanging from broken hinges. Once, children had run and laughed there. Once, life had filled these streets. The figure's hand brushed the air lightly, and for a moment, the wind seemed to pause. They remembered. Memories of a long-lost past filled their mind. It was strange and heavy, but not sad. They had returned not for revenge, not for anger. They had returned to watch, to learn, and perhaps to act, when the time was right. The humans moved slowly through the city. Every step was careful, controlled, almost ritualistic. They left no trace. They did not shout or call. They were shadows among ruins, yet they carried the power of thousands of years of knowledge. Their presence was a warning, though none could see it yet. Something had returned, and the world would feel it soon. As the night deepened, A small crack of lightning lit the clouds above. The humans looked up. They did not flinch. They knew storms, both natural and human, could not harm them. Their eyes glowed faintly as if reflecting the universe itself. The ghost ship behind them hummed softly, alive in a way no machine should be. It had waited 20,000 years, and now it had arrived. Somewhere in the distance, a faint sound of movement reached the humans. Perhaps an observer, curious, daring to peek at the strange visitors. The humans paused. They did not approach. They waited, silent and patient. The world outside was not ready, but the humans had already returned. Their time was coming, and when it did, nothing would ever be the same again. The first night passed quietly, but under the soft glow of the ship, the world had already begun to notice that something had changed. The humans were back, hidden no longer but still mysterious. And in that quiet, the suspense of what was to come grew heavier with every heartbeat. The first night had passed quietly, but the humans on the ghost ship did not sleep. They moved slowly through the city ruins, their eyes scanning every corner, every shadow. They remembered the world they had left 20,000 years ago. Back then, humans had thrived. Cities had reached the stars, and knowledge had grown faster than anyone could imagine. But disaster had come. Not all of it could be avoided. The humans had been forced to hide, to disappear from the eyes of the galaxy, leaving the world to grow wild and empty. Inside the ship, a small holographic map lit the air. The figures gathered around it. Tiny lights showed their past cities, old colonies, and even the distant planets humans had once visited. They had kept their knowledge secret, developing new ways to survive in hiding. Their technology had grown in silence, their minds sharper, their bodies stronger. No one had seen them, and no one could find them. Until now. One of the humans, a tall figure with eyes like silver mirrors, spoke softly. "It is time to watch," they said. Their voice carried calm authority, but beneath it, a hint of excitement. For centuries, they had waited for this moment, the chance to see the world again, to see if it was ready. Another human touched a device, and a soft beam of light projected into the sky. Images of the past appeared, cities filled with life, children running in parks, vehicles flying between towers, and humans walking among stars. Then, the images faded to silence, ruins, and empty landscapes. The contrast was sharp. The world had changed, but so had humans. They had grown stronger, smarter, and more patient. Outside, the air was cold, and the wind carried the scent of broken earth. A small animal ran across the street. The humans watched it carefully. Even the smallest creature mattered. Humans had learned to respect all life, knowing survival was not only about power, but about understanding. They had seen civilizations rise and fall, and now they were ready to decide how, or if, they would interfere. One figure walked slowly to the edge of a broken bridge. They looked down at the river, its water dark and still. "The world is quiet," they said. "Too quiet." Their hand brushed the air, and a soft pulse of energy spread from their fingertips, testing the limits of the environment. Buildings did not move, the wind did not shift, yet the pulse revealed hidden currents in the air, faint traces of technology still alive. The humans had always been explorers, even when hidden, and curiosity was part of their nature. They moved silently through the city, stepping over debris, leaving no trace. Their presence was like a shadow, calm but powerful. 20,000 years of hiding had taught them patience. They did not rush. They did not fear. They only observed, learning about the new world that had grown without them. Somewhere far away, in the darkness, sensors flickered. Machines of old civilizations, still alive after millennia, sensed the arrival. Some tried to move, to find the source, but the humans were too careful. They remained hidden, showing no threat. Yet, even from a distance, the power of humans could be felt, like a quiet storm waiting to strike. One human paused near a collapsed wall. They touched it lightly, and a hologram appeared, showing the wall as it had been long ago. Buildings full of life, people walking and talking, children laughing. "We left too soon," whispered one figure. "But now we return not to destroy, but to choose." Their words carried weight, calm but certain. They had waited, and the time had come to act carefully, to make decisions that could shape the world once again. The ghost ship hummed softly behind them. Its surface shimmered with light that seemed alive, like it was breathing. Humans had built it to survive, to travel, and to hide. But it was more than that. It had become a part of them, a reflection of their patience, intelligence, and determination. The ship waited, silent and ready, as its passengers prepared for the world outside. Night deepened, and stars shone brightly above. The humans looked at them, remembering the vastness of space, the journeys they had taken, and the civilizations they had once known. Their eyes reflected both memory and calculation. They had survived, hidden, and now they were ready to face the world again. The humans gathered near the ship's edge, looking down at the empty streets. "Soon," said the tallest one, "they will notice us." A pause. "And then, they will understand why we were gone, why we stayed hidden, and why we return now." Their voice was calm, but it carried promise. They were not here to scare or harm. They were here to be seen at the right moment, to reveal the strength that had grown in silence. From above, the sky began to shift. Clouds moved slowly, revealing more stars. The city below remained quiet, still unaware of the beings among them. But the humans had already begun their watch. Every street, every ruin, every shadow was noted. They remembered the past. They understood the present. And they were ready for the future. The night ended quietly, but the humans did not sleep. They remained vigilant, hidden in plain sight, waiting for the right moment to show the world what had been gone for 20,000 years. Their return was not a surprise. It was the start of a plan, patient, deliberate, and full of suspense. The ghost ship glowed softly in the night, a silent promise of things to come. The morning came slowly. The city was quiet, still under the soft glow of the ghost ship. Humans inside the ship moved carefully, observing the world that had grown without them. They had stayed hidden for 20,000 years, but now they were awake, alert, and ready. Outside the city, the world had changed. Machines and creatures, some human-made, some not, moved in patterns that humans could almost predict. Drones flew silently above forests, scanning for life. Strange metallic birds glided across rivers, their eyes glowing faintly. Aliens, scattered across distant lands, communicated in codes and signals, sensing something new in the world. Something powerful. Something human. The humans on the ship watched. They were quiet, patient. One figure pointed to a sensor on the horizon. A small machine had noticed the ghost ship. It moved cautiously, trying to understand what had appeared in the ruins. Humans did not panic. They had seen curiosity before. They had learned to wait, to observe, and to act only when necessary. A soft hum came from the ghost ship. Its surface shimmered like liquid metal, adjusting to the environment. The humans had built it to survive in hiding, but it was more than a ship. It was alive, almost. It listened, it recorded, it protected. The humans inside had no fear. They had grown stronger while the world changed without them. One of the humans moved to the edge of the ship. From there, they could see the empty streets stretching toward the horizon. They could see the broken towers, fallen bridges, and silent cars that had not moved for centuries. Yet, they also saw signs of life. Animals had returned to the city. Small plants grew through cracks in the concrete. Nature had reclaimed what humans had once built. Another figure tapped a small device, and a holographic screen appeared, showing creatures they had never seen before. Small, quick, and curious, they moved through the streets, unaware of the humans watching them. A few machines, left from the past civilizations, had reactivated and moved slowly. Some tried to climb towers. Some tried to communicate with each other. All were observed. All were noted. The humans had returned, but they did not yet interfere. One human paused, looking at a distant forest. A strange figure moved among the trees. It was tall, dark, with glowing eyes. Humans had not expected this. Someone or something had noticed them, and it had intelligence. They observed quietly, calculating, deciding what to do. They did not reveal themselves yet. Patience had always been their greatest weapon. The ghost ship shifted slightly, adjusting its position. From inside, humans projected subtle signals into the air. They scanned the nearby lands, reading energy patterns, movements, and machines. Nothing could hide from them. They had learned to see beyond sight, to understand the world in ways no other species could. Yet they remained hidden. Silence was their shield, and observation was their strength. Below, a small drone moved closer, investigating the strange energy in the air. Its sensors flickered as it detected the human's presence. One human raised a hand slightly. A soft wave of energy passed over the drone. It froze, hovered for a moment, then turned and flew back. No harm was done, but a warning had been sent. Humans had returned, and the world was beginning to feel their presence. In the distance, a small village of robots moved like ants, working to rebuild structures and maintain order. The humans observed them. They had seen civilizations rise, fall, and attempt to rebuild. They had learned to measure not only strength but also intelligence, patience, and adaptability. The world outside had changed, but humans had changed too. They were now more than observers, they were masters of strategy and knowledge. A tall human stepped forward, looking at the horizon. The sky was clear, the sun slowly rising. The ruins below seemed peaceful, but it was only an illusion. Life was stirring again. The humans had returned to a world that had moved on without them, but nothing had escaped their attention. Every movement, every sound, every shadow had been noted. They remembered, they observed, and they prepared. The small alien figure in the forest moved closer, its eyes glowing brighter. It sensed something it could not understand. Its species had never seen humans like this. Humans who had hidden for thousands of years and returned with power, patience, and control. The alien paused, unsure, hesitant, could sense intelligence but not the purpose. The humans waited. They had always waited, and they would wait longer if necessary. Even as the city slept under the early sunlight, a quiet tension filled the air. Something had returned, something powerful and patient. The ghost ship glowed softly, and the humans within moved with silent purpose. They were not just watching, they were calculating, planning, and deciding how to step into a world that had almost forgotten them. The humans spoke softly among themselves, in words that carried meaning beyond normal speech. "They notice us," one said. "Good. Let them wonder. Let them try to understand. It is time to observe closely." Another nodded, eyes reflecting the rising sun. "Soon we will decide. But for now, silence is our strength." As the day began, life around the city stirred, unaware of the observers among the ruins. But the humans were ready. Their return had begun, slowly, quietly, with patience and intelligence. The world outside had changed, but humans had changed too. And when they finally acted, nothing would ever be the same. The humans had waited for hours, watching the empty city and the strange movements beyond. The ghost ship remained silent behind them, glowing softly under the early morning sun. Every step they had taken had been calculated. Every sound they had made had been controlled. They were patient, as always, but the time for observation was slowly ending. Now, it was time for the first contact. The first human moved forward carefully, holding a small device in their hands. It glowed faintly, sending a pulse into the air. The pulse was gentle, almost like a whisper, but it traveled far. In the distance, machines stirred. Drones that had been scanning the area froze, their sensors blinking. Some of the alien observers noticed the pulse, tilting their heads as if confused. The humans had not yet revealed themselves, but the message was clear. They were here, and they were watching. A second human stepped into the street, leaving a small object on the ground. It was a cube, smooth and silver, glowing faintly. When it touched the ground, it projected a hologram into the air. The hologram showed a human figure, calm, standing in an empty city, with hands open and peaceful. No words were spoken, only a simple message. "We are here. We mean no harm." In the forest, the alien figure from before paused. Its glowing eyes reflected the hologram. It tried to communicate, sending signals into the air. The humans watched closely. They did not respond quickly. Instead, they measured, analyzed, and waited. Patience was part of their strategy. They had learned that haste could ruin everything. Nearby, a small robot drone moved toward the hologram, curious. Its sensors scanned the cube and projected readings back to its base. The humans noticed immediately. One figure raised a hand slightly, and a faint wave of energy passed over the drone. It froze, hovered for a moment, then backed away slowly. No harm was done, but the drone now understood that the humans had power beyond normal comprehension. The humans stepped closer to the ruins, careful not to make sudden movements. Their eyes scanned the horizon, noticing small details: a flickering light from a broken building, a rustling in the trees, a small machine moving across the empty street. Every movement was noted. Every possible threat was calculated. Their presence was calm, but powerful. The alien figure in the forest moved closer, now standing at the edge of the clearing. Its eyes glowed brighter, scanning the humans. It could sense intelligence, but not the full depth. The humans remained still, showing no aggression. A soft wind carried through the city, and the humans' hair and clothes moved gently. They were silent, observing, waiting for the next move. A small signal was sent from one of the humans' devices. It projected a faint light beam into the sky. The beam was a pattern of symbols, simple yet complex. Machines and aliens alike tried to read it, to understand its meaning. It was the humans' first attempt at communication without revealing too much. Patience was their ally. They wanted the world to notice them, but not too quickly. One human crouched beside a broken car, scanning it carefully. A small creature, a fox, approached cautiously. The human extended a hand slowly. The fox froze, sensing no threat. It stepped closer, sniffed the air, and then ran away into the trees. The humans did not move quickly. Every action was controlled. They had returned to a world that did not know them, and they intended to remain in control of the story. The aliens in the distance tried to send messages, signals that hummed in the air. The humans observed, analyzing the patterns, understanding intentions without words. Some signals were warnings, some curiosity, some fear. The humans waited, their eyes reflecting knowledge gained over thousands of years. They had hidden for centuries, but now, every move mattered. Every observation counted. A sudden movement caught their attention. A drone moved too close, attempting to scan the humans directly. One figure raised a hand, and a faint pulse of energy moved toward it. The drone halted midair, tilted, and then backed away slowly. The humans did not chase. They only sent a quiet warning. Patience had always been their strength. The world needed to understand, and they were willing to wait. By mid-afternoon, the humans had left several small holograms across the city. Each one was simple, peaceful, and mysterious. Messages of presence, intelligence, and observation. The world had begun to notice, but it did not understand fully. The humans had returned, but the mystery remained. Suspense hung in the air. Who were they? What were their intentions? The ghost ship hummed softly behind them, glowing in the sunlight. The humans gathered near it, silent and calm. "They are noticing us," said one, voice quiet but steady. "Good. Let them wonder. Let them try to understand. It is time to watch closely." Another nodded, eyes scanning the city. "We are ready, but we wait. Patience is our power." Even as the sun began to set, the city remained quiet. Machines, aliens, and animals moved cautiously, sensing something new. Humans observed silently, waiting for the right moment. Their first contact had begun, subtle and careful, creating mystery, fear, and awe. And though they had not revealed everything, the world already felt that something extraordinary had returned. The next morning, the humans on the ghost ship prepared for a more deliberate action. For centuries, they had observed, learned, and waited. Now it was time to show a small piece of what they could do. Not everything, just enough to make the world take notice. Patience had been their greatest weapon, but control and intelligence were their strengths. One figure moved toward the center of the ruined city. They carried a small, glowing device, no bigger than a human hand. When they placed it on the cracked pavement, a soft hum filled the air. Slowly, a holographic image appeared above it, showing advanced machines moving smoothly in perfect harmony. Buildings reconstructed themselves in miniature, and small vehicles flew effortlessly across the city. It was a demonstration, a promise of what humans could do. The alien figure in the forest tilted its head, glowing eyes reflecting the hologram. Its sensors recorded every movement. It had never seen anything like this before. A small drone buzzed closer, trying to understand the energy, the intelligence, the calm power. The humans watched it carefully. One hand lifted, and a faint pulse of light moved toward the drone. It paused, hovered, and then retreated. No harm was done, but a silent warning had been sent. Humans were not only present, they were powerful. Another human walked toward a broken bridge, tapping the air gently. The metal and stone responded. Cracks began to close, beams lifted, and for a moment, the bridge looked new. It was subtle, almost magical, but it was real. Nature and technology bent to their touch, not out of control, but with respect and precision. They had learned to work with the world, not against it. The display left even the most cautious machines uncertain, their programming unable to fully comprehend the power before them. A fox ran past, pausing as it noticed the humans. They did not move quickly. Their calm presence was reassuring, yet it carried authority. Life around them responded to their energy, small signs of trust and understanding. This was not dominance. This was control and harmony, gained through knowledge and patience. The humans did not speak much. Words were unnecessary. They let their actions communicate their message. Small holograms appeared across the city, each showing humans performing tasks that seemed impossible. Lifting heavy objects with ease, repairing broken machines, generating energy from nothing, and even manipulating small currents of water to flow smoothly through the empty streets. Each display was a small piece of truth, carefully chosen to create curiosity, awe, and respect. From the forest, the alien watched, unable to move closer. Its species had intelligence, but it had never encountered beings who could combine patience, technology, and precision so perfectly. Every step the humans took was deliberate, every movement measured. They were not showing all they could do, just enough to let the world know that humans had returned, and they had not forgotten. A sudden pulse of energy moved across the city. Machines twitched, some lights flickered, and drones adjusted their flight paths. The humans did not panic. They had expected this. The world was noticing. Some observers were curious, some cautious, and some fearful. The humans remained calm. They had waited 20,000 years for this moment. They were prepared for every reaction. One of the humans paused near a ruined park, placing a small device on the ground. Flowers bloomed instantly, delicate and colorful, breaking through the cracked concrete. Trees lifted slightly, leaves shining in the sunlight. Life returned in small, controlled bursts, as if reminding the world that humans respected balance. The animals nearby watched, cautious but not afraid. The human's power was not reckless. It was careful, precise, and intentional. The alien figure in the forest moved slightly backward. Its species had never faced beings who could act with such subtle power and intelligence. The humans had returned not only to exist but to command attention, to demonstrate that they were not like any life that had remained in their absence. Even the machines, programmed for analysis, hesitated, unsure of how to process the humans' actions. As the sun rose higher, the humans gathered near the ghost ship. They observed the world, noting every reaction. The city, the forest, the small creatures, and the distant aliens all responded differently, but one truth was clear: humans were no longer hidden. They had revealed enough to make the world aware that they were here, powerful, patient, and intelligent. One human spoke softly to the others. "They understand at least a little," they said. "Curiosity, fear, respect. These are the first steps. We do not reveal everything yet. Patience remains our strength." Another nodded. "Let them wonder. Let them question. They need to see that we are careful, not dangerous. Control is the key." The ghost ship hummed softly behind them, a reminder of the humans' patience and power. For 20,000 years, they had waited. Now they had returned, showing glimpses of their abilities. Suspense filled the air, leaving every observer, alien, and machine uncertain about what humans would do next. The mystery remained. Humans were here, but their full strength was still hidden. The world had begun to notice, and the humans were ready. They had shown power without aggression, intelligence without arrogance, and control without fear. The suspense hung in the air like a quiet storm. What would humans do next? How would the world respond? These questions remained unanswered, but one thing was certain: Humans had returned, and nothing would ever be the same again. The humans had shown their strength carefully, but now the world was starting to test them. From the forests, shadows moved closer, and machines advanced cautiously. Aliens had begun to gather, curious and wary. Some sent signals that were meant as warnings. Others tried to scan the humans more closely, attempting to understand their purpose. The humans did not panic. Patience had always been their greatest weapon, and intelligence their greatest ally. One human stepped forward, eyes scanning the horizon. "They are testing us," they said softly. "Good. Let them see that power alone does not define us. We respond with thought, not anger." Another nodded, adjusting a small device on their wrist. It emitted a faint pulse that scanned the approaching machines, reading intentions, energy patterns, and movement. Every calculation was precise. Every reaction was measured. From the trees, a group of alien figures emerged, tall and thin, their eyes glowing with curiosity and caution. They moved in silence, trying to communicate, trying to gauge whether the humans were friend or threat. The humans watched, their calm presence creating tension. They did not speak first. They let the aliens approach, letting their actions speak. Patience remained their greatest strength. A drone moved too close, buzzing nervously. One human raised a hand slightly. A soft wave of energy passed through the air. The drone froze, hovered, then retreated slowly. No harm was done, but a warning had been sent. Humans were powerful, yes, but deliberate. They acted only when necessary. Every observer, alien and machine sensed it. The humans were here, and they were in control. The alien figures paused a few meters away. They did not attack, but their presence was tense. One of them tilted its head and sent signals into the air, attempting to communicate. The humans responded, but subtly, sending back patterns that showed intelligence, patience, and understanding. It was not fear they wanted, nor dominance. They wanted trust. But trust had to be earned, even after 20,000 years of waiting. From a ruined tower, a small machine projected a beam of light, scanning the humans. One figure raised both hands slowly. A faint pulse spread through the air, neutralizing the scan without damage. Machines twitched, recalibrated, and then paused. Humans had returned to a world that did not fully understand them, but every reaction was deliberate. They showed restraint, intelligence, and power, all at once. The aliens whispered among themselves, signals buzzing in the air. They were trying to decide what the humans would do next. Another drone approached from a different direction. The humans remained still. One small device in a human's hand lit up and sent a gentle pulse. The drone froze midair, then slowly retreated. The aliens understood that humans were not reckless, yet their power was undeniable. A soft breeze moved through the ruins. One human stepped closer to the aliens, lowering their hands. Their eyes reflected calm authority. The message was clear. Humans were not here to attack. Humans were here to observe, to measure, and to choose. Any aggression would be met with control, not anger. Their patience and intelligence were far greater than brute force. In the distance, more machines and drones began to gather. The humans watched silently, noting every movement. Their presence created tension. Observers felt uncertainty. Could these humans be trusted? What were their intentions? The humans waited, letting curiosity and caution grow in the minds of those who watched. They had waited 20,000 years. They could wait longer. The tallest human spoke softly, voice carrying across the clearing. "They test us, but we do not rush. They watch, but we do not hide. Power without control is nothing. Patience and intelligence guide us now." Another human nodded, adjusting a small device on their wrist. A faint holographic map projected into the air, showing the positions of all observers, aliens, and machines. Humans were aware of everything. Every movement was known. Every intention noted. As the day progressed, tension filled the air. Aliens and machines moved cautiously, aware of the humans' presence. The humans remained calm, observing each reaction, calculating the best approach. They did not act aggressively. They did not speak loudly. They had returned to a world that had almost forgotten them, and they intended to do so carefully, deliberately, and wisely. Finally, One of the alien figures stepped forward slightly, signaling a tentative willingness to communicate. The humans responded subtly, sending patterns of light and energy that conveyed intelligence and respect. Trust had not yet been fully earned, but it had begun. The world was beginning to understand. Humans had returned, but they were not reckless. Their patience, control, and intelligence were their true power. As the sun began to set, the humans gathered near the ghost ship. Their eyes scanned the horizon. They had faced the first test and passed without aggression. Observers, both alien and machine, had begun to sense the wisdom in their actions. Patience had won over force. Intelligence had overcome fear. And the suspense hung in the air. What would humans do next? How far would they go? When they finally revealed themselves fully, the world would understand, but only at the right time. The ghost ship glowed softly behind them, humming with energy. 20,000 years of waiting had led to this moment, and the humans were ready. Their test of trust had begun, and they had shown that their return was measured, deliberate, and full of power that was calm, controlled, and awe-inspiring. The next step would decide the future, but for now, suspense filled the world, and every observer, alien, and machine waited, uncertain, for the humans' next move. The morning light spilled over the ruined city, soft and golden. The humans stood near the ghost ship, calm and poised, yet the air around them felt charged. 20,000 years of hiding had led to this moment. They had observed, tested, and waited patiently. Now, it was time to reveal themselves fully. One figure stepped forward, moving slowly through the streets. The ground seemed to respond to their presence. Cracks in the pavement shifted, small plants leaned toward them, and the air hummed faintly. The aliens and machines that had tested them paused, their attention fixed on the humans. Curiosity, fear, and awe mixed together. Something powerful had returned, and now it would no longer remain hidden. The ghost ship glowed brighter behind them, its surface shimmering as if alive. Doors opened fully, revealing more humans stepping out, one by one. Their movements were graceful, controlled, and confident. They carried no weapons. Their power lay in their intelligence, patience, and knowledge. Every observer, alien and machine alike, felt it. The humans had returned, not to conquer, but to reclaim presence in a world that had almost forgotten them. A few drones moved closer, buzzing hesitantly. The humans did not flinch. One raised a hand, and a soft wave of energy flowed across the machines. They did not break. They did not explode. They simply paused, almost aware that this force was not meant to harm, but to communicate. The humans' abilities were unlike anything the world had seen. Subtle, precise, and controlled. Their power spoke louder than any words could. The tallest human moved to the center of the city and projected a holographic map of the past. Cities filled with humans, colonies across distant planets, technology that had once thrived and been lost. The aliens and machines watched silently. Then the map shifted, showing the present: ruins, wild forests, and small signs of life returning. Finally, the map projected the humans themselves, the ones standing among them now, calm, intelligent, and fully present. From the forest, the alien figure stepped forward cautiously. It had observed humans for hours, tested them, and been impressed by their restraint and intelligence. It sensed no threat, only wisdom and power. The humans watched silently, giving the alien a chance to approach without fear. Slowly, it moved closer, curious but respectful. A small gesture from one of the humans, a nod, a gentle hand raised, signaled peace. Trust was forming. The humans began to move through the city together, walking among the ruins. Every step was careful, deliberate, showing respect for the world they had returned to. Machines recalibrated, drones adjusted, and even animals stopped, sensing the calm authority of the humans. Nothing stirred without being noticed, yet nothing was harmed. Their power was absolute, yet controlled. Every observer understood that these beings were not only advanced, they were wise. Small demonstrations continued. Devices floated gently, energy flowed silently through broken circuits, and the air seemed lighter, charged with possibility. Humans repaired a small bridge, lifted debris, and restored life to a few plants and trees. Nothing aggressive, nothing overwhelming, just subtle displays of intelligence, control, and capability. Each action inspired awe. Even the most cautious observers felt hope, wonder, and fear mingled together. One human spoke, voice calm and resonant. "We have returned," they said. "We have watched, we have waited, and now we step into the world. We do not seek to destroy. We do not seek to conquer. We seek understanding, balance, and presence. This world is ours too, and we will walk among it with respect and wisdom." The aliens and machines paused, processing the message. Their signals shifted from caution to curiosity. Slowly, some approached. The humans did not retreat. They remained calm, allowing the observers to see that their return was not a threat. It was a new beginning, a chance for coexistence. The ghost ship hummed softly, a gentle reminder of their history, power, and patience. The humans gathered near it, looking at the horizon. Their eyes reflected centuries of knowledge, thousands of years of hiding, and the calm certainty of beings who had survived and learned. For the first time in 20,000 years, humans walked openly in the world again. The city, once silent and empty, now seemed alive, not with humans, but with the possibility of life returning in harmony. Drones hovered, aliens observed, and small creatures began to explore without fear. Humans had returned, fully, deliberately, and with awe-inspiring control. A final pulse of energy swept across the city, subtle and gentle. It carried a message of presence, peace, and intelligence. The aliens and machines felt it, understood it, and slowly began to respect it. Humans were back, not as conquerors, but as beings of wisdom, patience, and power. The suspense of their mystery had ended, but a new story was beginning, one of coexistence, observation, and a world forever changed by the return of humanity. As the sun set, casting gold across the ruined city, the humans stood together, calm, poised, and fully revealed. 20,000 years of silence had ended. The ghost ship remained behind them, glowing softly. Humans had returned. The world could no longer ignore them. And in that quiet, powerful moment, every observer, alien, machine, and creature alike, felt the awe of a species that had hidden, waited, and finally returned.